world on fire.
Hi folks, welcome back to the channel and welcome to part 2 in the video series for the Trade Federation battle tank. If you're new to the channel, I would appreciate a wee like and a subscribe. I believe this is good for the YouTube algorithm and lets the video be seen by more people. Spread the word about model making and Star Wars in general. Anyway, enough of rambling on, it's moving swiftly onwards. So you can see we're now at primer stage. I think I've done a fairly decent job of picking up all the seam lines and the little blemishes and stuff that needed filled in. I'm quite happy with how it's turned out so far. Had to do a wee bit of repair work. So you see there's some pipe work, some greeblies here that looks like some kind of pipe work. That one there's the original, that one there is the new and improved version. I say that, it's only because this part was lost. It's a second-hand kit. It could have been lost by, you know, the previous owner or whatever, or it could have been lost by me. Who knows? But irrespective, I was still left with the problem that there was a piece missing. But we bit a 1mm styrene rod, sorted that out, bent it into shape, got it put in place. I don't know if that really qualifies as scratch building. Yeah, so that's that all sorted out. Seam lines running along here, round here, all tidied up and pretty much gone, really. And so I'm quite content to say that this model's now ready for its base coat. Speaking of which, the base coat is this, or these, should I say. So this is Archive X, my kind of go-to paint these days, particularly for Star Wars models. These have all been created to replicate a lot of the old colours and the old hues that were used back in the day by ILM. So these two particular colours, the Depot Buff and the Reefer White, are going to be mixed, and the ratio that I'm using is the same as what I used for the Battle Droid when I done the STAP, same model company that made it from the same era. So we're going to go with 25 parts Depot Buff with 12 parts Reefer White. And there's probably a smarter way to work out that ratio, but I'm not smart enough to work that ratio out. That was just how I came to the colour that I was after. I sort of counted in some drops, added some more white, mixed it up, wasn't quite happy with that. A few more drops of this, a few more drops of that, and then ultimately that was the numbers that I got to. So 25 and 12. You'll see here as well, we've got some acrylic from Vallejo here, one of the metal airbrush colour ranges. These are really nice paints, really nice metallic colour. This is a kind of gunmetal-y colour. That's just a wee sample of it there. It's a kind of lightish gunmetal colour. I wasn't wanting to go too bright and shiny for the metal on this, but equally so, I wasn't really wanting to go too dark either. So it's kind of middle of the road for me. I really quite like this colour. And the reason we're using that is, well, Archive X don't make any metallic paints, but this model does have some metallic colours on it, so we're going to go with that. Gun barrel. Now, this was the scratch built brass gun barrel that I made with the styrene part from here to there. And that part there backwards is all styrene, so this section here is brass. So this section of the barrel here, when you look at the reference work, is metallic. So this almost acts like a piston, so when the gun fires, this part is meant to slide back and recoil. If you watch the movie, you'll see that happening. I think you might even see it in the short clip just at the start of this video. And also there's some scuffs and scores and stuff by just battle damage or wear and tear, if you like, on the model. And you can pick up in the reference materials as well. So we're just going to use that for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out my areas where it's going to be, where the paint's going to be chipped away. I'm going to put the metallic down, and I'm then going to put my chipping fluid on, and then we'll then airbrush over the whole thing with the base colour. So we'll crack on with that. Well, as you can see, things never really seem to go to plan, do they? So I started to muck about with the airbrush, looking at the reference pictures and starting to add patches of metallic paint, but I actually quickly realised that most of the model was going to be covered in paint, or metallic paint, and I just thought, do you know what, I'm just going to paint the whole thing, and that gives me full creative scope to put chips and marks anywhere I fancy. And actually, what will also allow me to do is maybe even do a wee bit of rubbing back the paint with like a sanding stick or something, and just again looking like worn paint and whatever, just to add another effect to the palette, because most of the thing was getting covered in paint, metallic paint anyway, and I thought, you know what, just cut to the chase. So I've got most of the metallic paint down. There's a couple of wee bits in the underside here that I still need to touch up, but I'll pick that up. But really, I wanted to do that after saying that I wasn't going to. I thought, no, do you know, I just want to change my mind here. So listen, this is the nature of modelling. This is sometimes what happens. I went back and looked at the reference material and realised there's actually a lot more chips on there than what I had first really gave credit for. And as I say, it just gives me a bit more to play with. As you can see, actually on camera, in first person it looks great, but in camera it looks cracking. I really like that metallic finish that this paint gives. It's a really nice shade of silver. Again, it's not too dark, it's not too bright. It's just what we're after. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, I've now put down all the masking fluid using the little silicone tip brushes and a little piece of synthetic sponge. It's a synthetic sponge. It looks like the natural sponges that you buy, but it's absolutely definitely synthetic. It was only like, I don't know, 70p at a local shop or something, so there's no way that was real sponge. But it's got a nice random pattern to it, so it's quite good for stippling paint. I got a big lump of it for like 70p or something, and I just take wee bits off as and when I need it. So it's actually quite good for applying this stuff, masking fluid, as well as paint, and doing chipping effects with that as well. So anyway, we've got all the chipping down, all the latex down. You can't really see it because it's this colourless stuff, and when this runs out, so I'm probably only about halfway through the bottle, to be fair, but when this runs out I'll start using the blue or green tinted stuff. But yeah, so that's where we're at so far. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is mix up my first batch of paint, and we'll start just applying that. So I'll see you in a second. Right, so paint is all now mixed up. So that's the colour, just the lighting slightly. Don't know how well you can see that there. So it's a nice sort of warm creamy colour. And as I said to you before, 25 parts of Depot Buff to 12 parts of Reefer White. I've done double the recipe there, just so I've got enough to get me started, although I probably will have to mix up more because it's quite a hefty size model. So what we'll do is we'll get the brush loaded up, and we'll start laying the colour down. So I had a wee bit of catastrophe. I'd set, or so I thought I'd done anyway, set my camera or my phone to record time lapse of the adding the base layer, the base paint, and it just didn't work. I never pressed it on, or I never did the right setting or whatever, so I mucked it up. So I came to stitch those wee bits onto what I've already shot so far, and well, I hadn't recorded. Never mind, that's what it is. So this is this is the base coat all complete. You'll see a few lumps and bumps on it. That's just the latex underneath the paint there that you can see. I'm not taking that off just now because I want it to be sort of multi-layered. When I add some of these darker panels on it, I'm going to add a couple of wee dots here and there so that you'll see the base coat, the top coat, and the bare steel below, so we can like 3 layers if you like. A bit like you do when you do a slave, when you do slave 1. You build the skirt up in layers. Anyway, I'm quite happy with this overall. It looks slightly lighter on the camera. It's got a slightly more warm hue off the camera in person. But that's fine because I'm going to do a wee bit of misting with the Reefer White here and there. Just some light misting once the other colours are down, and that'll just almost like, not quite mottle the paint, but certainly simulate sort of lighter areas, almost like bleaching or whatever. Just as one of the other steps of the weathering process. But absolutely happy with the colour, both on and off camera. It's exactly what I was aiming for. And we'll just move on to the next stage. So I've had another quick look at the reference images. I've got this all masked off, and I thought before I paint it, I'm just going to have another quick look at the colour choices made in the reference material that I've got. And actually, I'm not using this. It's a bit too fleshy in colour. I think it's the colour is edging a bit more towards the brown, so we've went with 1975 mud. But I'm not actually layering it down in a whole coat. It's just going to be a light misting, and also it's not quite brown, it's got more of a yellow hue to it, so it's really going to match in with the colour scheme. So what we're just doing is we're just lightly applying a mist coat. I'm not bothered too much about this section just now because, as I say, that's going to be painted dark earth. So what we'll do is we'll just crack on with this, and we're just going to leave this as a misted coat, patchy at points, sort of mottled if you like. So I'm just going with a sort of random spray pattern. I don't want it to be just an absolute solid colour, but I do want it to look different from the other parts of the hull. So you can see already the colour starting to build in maybe areas like here. So this is really just what we're going for. So I'll switch the camera off now and I'll bore the backside off everybody, and I'll move on and finish these panels. Just ever so quickly, there we go. That's that done. Very subtle, not too heavy, just a slight change in the tone. You can see the difference between here and there. I know there's a bit overspray there, but I'm not worried about that because that's getting masked off. I'm really quite happy with that. It's definitely get that warm ochre yellowish sort of tone that I'm really aiming for. Yep, perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So mud 1975. That's the colour you're needing for that. Ideal. Moving on. So you can see here that I've done a bit of the brown. Now get this lighter area, or this darker area unmasked as well. The colours are very, very stark looking at the minute. Quite intense, but we'll get that knocked back. I've got this little panel masked off here. See, the same as this one. And then we'll just be doing is going to spray a bit of 1975 earth onto that. So just to get those panels darkened up, get a bit of the old acrylic on there, just dry that off the hairdryer, excuse the racket. That is absolutely one of the best hacks I have ever discovered. The first person I've ever seen doing it was John Simmons. I was like, my god, I've never thought of this before. Such a great idea. Saves waiting about and all your paint's drying. Anyway, that's where we're at now. Took the masking tape off the gun barrel here. Got some nice silver there. I was looking at the reference pictures. This picture needs to be silver, so I'll probably tackle that with a brush. I really love it. It's really retro. It's like proper, that is a proper 70s colour scheme. I've never really realised it before. Excuse me. Sorry, excuse me. Just getting over a virus. So, yeah, the colours are very, very stark looking. But once we start applying mist coats and weather and stuff like that, it's just going to fade right out, hopefully. So, anyway, next stage, moving on. Right, so where we're at now. All the main colours are down. I've just finished doing these recesses in here and here. I've got a wee bit of splodge of paint up there, but I'm actually not going to worry about it because it'll blend in when I'm doing all the misting and stuff and the weather. Now, before I start peeling off masks and start adding streaks and stains and stuff like that, I really want to focus on a wee bit of misting. The colours are quite stark, so I'm actually going to start with the first misting coat, and I want to use a bit of white, so it's going to look a bit like bleaching at different points. This here, admittedly, I think I mucked up here. I think I went a bit too dark, but again, a wee bit of light misting should solve that. And I just want to add some white in first. Again, I don't want to go too heavy with this. It has got the potential to really muck things up. So let's just start off some areas where we're just going to lighten up, not too heavy. I'm going in a bit closer for some bits, and other bits will be a bit further away, and that'll just help to break up the solid paint colour, if you like, that is across the model, and just start to give a bit of fading where we want it. It's not going to be immediately obvious what I'm doing on camera, and it's really just one of these things that for the eye, that's what we want. We want to be focusing on some of the top parts as well, because that's where the sunlight's going to hit. This isn't about shading or creating highlights or anything, it's just about breaking up the colours on the body and giving it that weathered bleached effect. Let's just flip her over. I'm really happy with the progress so far. I know I did say we'll concentrate on the top part, but let's just get a wee bit of misting on the bottom as well. I've watered down the paint a fair bit. I've watered down the paint a fair bit. We're still shooting about 15 to 20 psi. We're just using a thinner paint on a greater distance. Nice random pattern. That'll be what we're after. Anyway, right, that's really probably going to bore everybody, so we'll skip this part and I'll come back to you once I'm finished. Right, so that bit's done. I'm quite happy with that. Again, you don't really see much difference in the camera, to be honest with you. There's a few subtleties here and there, and that's what this is. This is just a bit of build up of subtleties, layer upon layer of different subtleties. Different mist coats, different colours, create different effects. So I'm quite happy with that so far. What we'll do is we'll start rubbing off the masking and we'll take it from there. So now that we started taking the mask off, you can see there in the wee time lapse that I was doing, it takes a wee bit of work to come off, but it's starting to look like a Star Wars model now. I always maintain that once you start to see the chipping and the paint and stuff, it's just one of these iconic hallmarks of a Star Wars model. It's that lived in universe again. Anyway, so I think actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this video here. I've still got a lot of work to do. I'm not going to keep going with the time lapse to reveal all the paint chips. I'll just do that off camera, and then the next time you see this will be the next video, and it'll actually be ready for the weathering process. This is effectively the stage I wanted to get to for this video, and and just sort of tie it up here. So this is really just the main colours going down on the model, and then starting to reveal that chipping. So we'll really get into the weathering in the next and final video. Thanks for watching. Cheers now.